Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jody, and on my channel I talk about Broadway and books. And in today's video, I will be continuing my Broadway show series where I talk about every Broadway show I ever got to see. So normally in the series on my channel, I go over a few things, such as who was in the cast of my performance, who was on the creative team, how I liked the show, and anything interesting I might find in the playbill along the way. So without any further ado, let's get on to today's show. So today I'll be talking about the 40th Broadway show I ever got to see, which was my first time seeing the Broadway musical Wicked. So I have seen this show on Broadway a total of 2 times. Today I'll just be talking about my first time seeing the show, which, like I said, was my 40th Broadway show. So I saw this show for the first time in December 2003 at the Gershwin Theater. And in case you're wondering what's currently playing at the Gershwin Theater, it's still Wicked. And how cool is that? For a show to be playing on Broadway after over 20 years, that's just such an accomplishment, and so it's super cool that that's still playing on Broadway. So now I'll get on to what's in the playbill. So this is usually part of the video where I go over the cast, at my performance, point out names I may recognize from having seen them in shows before or after I saw them in Wicked. So I will say, the show did open on October 30, 2003. I saw it on December 3rd, 2003. So I did get to see the original cast for my first time seeing the show, which is so cool. So yeah, here are the headshots of the lead and supporting performers who were in the show when it first opened on Broadway. And now I'll get to the page with the headshots of the chorus, standbys, and understudies. Okay, so now I will talk about who was in the cast. So if you're familiar with Wicked, you probably know this already, but if you're not, you'll learn something new today. So Kristen Chenoweth obviously originated the part of Glinda on Broadway, and she was just fantastic in the part, like so perfect for this part. She was just absolutely amazing. Popular when she sang, it was just such a great number, and yeah, she was just really great in the show, and it was my first time getting to see her in the show, so that was really cool as well. Idina Menzel originated part of Elphaba, and it was my first time getting to see Idina Menzel in the show as well, so another super cool, performer to get to see in the show finally. And yeah, she was just so amazing and incredible in the show. She gave the part everything she had. She left it all on stage, and still to this day, Defying Gravity is one of the most iconic Broadway moments I've ever seen on the stage, and she was just so incredible in the show. She won a Tony Award for her performance in the show, a very much well-deserved Tony Award, and can't say enough great things about her in the show. Yeah, so Joel Grey was in the show. He played the wizard. It was my first time getting to see Joel Grey in the show, and he's such an amazing talent, amazing Broadway performer, and it was just really cool to get to see such an icon on the Broadway stage. I did later go on to see him perform in the 2011 Broadway revival of Anything Goes. So I think those are the only 2 shows I've seen him in, but still super cool. Carol Shelley was in the show, and I had seen her in Cabaret, the Broadway revival Cabaret up to this point, so it was cool to get to see her in another show. Norberlio Butz was in the show. There's a bit of a story with Norberlio Butz and this show. If you're familiar with Wicked, especially when it first started on Broadway, you probably know the story already, but in case you didn't, you'll learn something new today, I guess. So shortly after the show, I believe, had opened on Broadway, he had an injury. I don't know if he had an injury, from a performance of Wicked, or it was a pre-existing injury that just like flared up, if you will. But he had to be out of the show for like 7 weeks after he got this injury, and so I saw the show during that time when he was out of the show recovering. So yeah, I was a bit bummed that I didn't get to see him in the show, but obviously understandable, because if you have an injury, you have to recover, obviously. So understandable. But he's one of my favorite Broadway performers, so it would have been cool to have gotten to have seen him in the show. But I totally understand why I didn't see him in the show at that moment in time. So I did get to see his understudy. I'll just point out the understudy slip now. Christopher Cusick went on his place. Christopher Cusick went on his place as like a temporary replacement, because he was normally in the show. I believe he was just his understudy, but I think he was normally in the chorus otherwise. And so as a more permanent replacement until Norberlio Butz was ready to rejoin the show, Taye Diggs played the part of Fiyero during that period of time. So yeah, a little bit of a backstory on that, but yeah. But yeah, Norberlio Butz is one of the best he's just such an amazing Broadway performer, and I've seen him in several shows since Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Big Fish, Catch Me If You Can, for which he won a Tony Award for. I feel like I've seen him in, he's done so many shows. I feel like I've seen him in more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. What can I say? Michelle Federer was in the show, and I believe Norbert Leo Butz and her, this is where they met, and they are, I think they married. So that, Wicked brought, couples together. How cool is that? Christopher Fitzgerald was in the show. Oh my God. He is one of the funniest comedic geniuses I've ever seen on the Broadway stage. He is just one of the best talents ever. Oh my gosh. He's one of my favorite Broadway performers as well, and it was super cool to get to see him in the show for the first time. He was a waitress on Broadway. I think he was in the recent Broadway revival of Spamalot, which I missed out on seeing, but I would have loved to have seen that as well. Saw me in Finian's Rainbow. Sorry, I can't talk there for a second. Finian's Rainbow. I feel like I've seen him in more shows. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, another amazing Broadway talent. And yeah, let's see. Adina Espinoza, who is currently on Broadway. I can't pronounce the name of the show she's in, but she's currently on Broadway. She was the standby for Elphaba, so she wasn't normally in the show otherwise. But yeah, it's super cool that she was a part of this production. I did go on to see her in the Broadway show Brooklyn. I feel like I've seen her in more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. Christopher Cusack, obviously, I saw as Fiyero, and he was a part of the original cast of Saturday Night Fever on Broadway, which honestly, I didn't remember, and Saturday Night Fever is one of my favorite shows, so I can't believe I forgot that. He also was in First Date on Broadway with Zachary Levi. Manuel Herrera was in the show. He went on to go to be in the Broadway show Legally Blonde, which I believe he was in that at least, and that's one of my favorite shows, so anytime someone's in a show I really like, I have to point it out. And I think that's it as far as the cast. You know what I thought was really interesting? Laurel Bundy was actually a standby as well for Glinda, but she doesn't have a headshot. Her headshot is not on the playbill, nor does she have like a bio for the biographies for the cast members, which I thought was super weird. But yeah, Laurel Bundy was the original standby for Glinda, and obviously she was in Hairspray, Legally Blonde. She was in The Cottage, which was on Broadway earlier this season, which I really want to see, which I missed out on. But you know what? That's how life goes sometimes. So yeah, since I spent a good portion of this video already talking about the cast, I'm going to move on now to the creative team. So this had a really great creative team. Stephen Schwartz did the music and lyrics, and Stephen Schwartz, the songs in the show are just so amazing, even after all these years. There's songs that you don't forget, like Popular and Defying Gravity and Dancing Through Life. I guess I'll talk about the songs later on, but yeah, a really great composer and fantastic score for this show. And he did write the score for one of my favorite Broadway shows, Pippin. Ugh, one of the best Broadway shows I've ever seen. So I had to point that out. Stephen Ormus was the musical director, or the music director, I should say, and he's done so many Broadway shows. I believe he was the music director for Avenue Q as well as several other shows, but yeah. Wayne Cilento was did the musical staging. His name is very familiar to me. I can't remember every show he's been a part of, but he's been a part of a lot of shows. And then last but not least, Joe Mantello directed the show. And what a just amazing and very well-known Broadway director. Has directed so many Broadway shows, musicals, and both musicals and plays. And during this particular season, he directed Wicked. Not only Wicked on Broadway, but he also directed the Broadway revival of Stephen Sondheim's Assassins. So, for which he won a Tony Award. And I will be talking about the show at some point because I got to see it, throughout the season when it was on Broadway. But yeah, just an amazing Broadway director. I feel like he was on Broadway this season. He acts as well, so he might be on Broadway this season, like I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen a show in the current Broadway season. So yeah. Anyway. So now I'll talk about, like how I like the show. I really liked Wicked. It was such an amazing, like captivating, enormous show. Like it's just like a show that everyone should get to see at least once in their life live on stage. And it's just such like it's a real Broadway production. Like, you got the sets, you got the costumes, you got the songs, you got the performances. It's just like everything about it is like large, and memorable. And it's just one of those shows that, like, is still talked about because it's just such a great production. And, you're getting your money's worth when you see Wicked because it's like one of those big Broadway productions. And I enjoyed every single second of it. And it was really cool to get to see such a talked about, buzzed about show, like, really right around the time it, like, started on Broadway. So that's super cool for me on a side note because, I missed out on a lot of life stuff. So at least I didn't get to miss out on Wicked when it first started on Broadway. So that was pretty cool. And now I'll just go into my favorite musical numbers that were in the show. So let's see. Probably going to be, listing every song because every song, like I said, really great. No One Mourns the Wicked, The Wizard and I, What Is This Feeling, and I'm going to save my very favorite song for last. Popular, I'm Not That Girl, One Short Day, Defying Gravity, obviously. Now, you'd be surprised. I love that Defying Gravity. It's like such an amazing Broadway song. And it was the song that closed Act 1. And it's such a memorable moment, even to this day, like I said. I still very much remember Idina Menzel's performance and that song live on stage. It's probably my second favorite song in the show. You know, I don't know. I really like it, but surprisingly, it's not my favorite song. It's my second favorite song. No One Mourns the Wicked was reprised. Thank goodness. As Long as You're Mine. No Good Deed. For Good. And my favorite song is Dancing Through Life, which is, it's like kind of like Fiero's song in the show. And I don't know. When I think back to this show, that's the song that always sticks out in my head. I just love the melody and the tone, and I just love the number itself. Like, I just love it. It's just my favorite number in the show, which I'm sure surprises a lot of people because you would think Defying Gravity or Popular, but Dancing Through Life is by far my favorite song in the show. Yeah. So now I'll get on to anything interesting in the playbill. And this playbill actually had a few like fun like little things to look back on, if you will. Because like I said, the show had been open for about a month or so. And so the CD, there was a Wicked cast recording signing event for the CD. And, there was something, it was on December 19th from 5 to 6 in the Gershwin Theater lobby. So that's pretty cool. I did not go to this event, but you know what? Super cool that, I have a memory from it in a way in my playbill. And then there's just another little thing in here saying when tickets were, like, good tickets were available for select performances in January, February, and March. Yeah, because, like, this show was super popular when it started, so it wasn't very easy to get a ticket. Like, you couldn't call the night before and get a ticket for the next day. You had to kind of do it a few months in advance. So there's a little thing in here about that, and just super cool to have this memory as well. And, yeah, I'll just get on now into what is in the playbill now. All right, let's see. So, like I said, I saw the show in December of 2003, which is listed in the playbill. So a Broadway revival of Wonderful Town was currently on Broadway, and there's an article in here about that, and we'll be talking about that show a few shows from now because I did get to see it, and I really like that show. Great show. And then there was a show in here about there were a lot of shows at the time on Broadway with puppets in them, so there was a article and a little thing in here about that. Little Shop of Horrors is right there. Had to point this out for that reason because Little Shop of Horrors was my favorite show, one of my favorite shows. There was a new musical on Broadway, which I never got to see. Had a very short-lived run on Broadway, but so you might be aware of it, but you might not, and totally understandable if you're not because, like I said, short run on Broadway. But it was a show called Never Gonna Dance. I don't honestly know much about it because I didn't see it, but I know I played the Broadhurst Theater, and there's an article about that. I guess I'll just show that there's a picture in here as well. Another picture from the article. Let's see. This is where knowing how to edit videos would be very helpful, so I don't have like all these silent moments and, you know, whatever, but I don't know how, so thank you for still watching if you are. Let's see. I think there was one, there was a advertisement in here for the 2004 Broadway revival of Fiddler on the Roof starring Alfred Molina, and I did get to see this show, and I will be talking about it a few shows from now. It played at the Minskoff Theater, and I liked that. I liked it. I think there was something in here. I missed the page. Oh, yeah. Wicked, like I said, the CD was either out or the CD would be out on 12/16. And this was, you know, I saw the show before that, so, but there's advertisement for the CD. Let's see. I think that might be it as far as what's in the playbook. This video is quite on the long side, so if you're still here, thank you. And then this was like a little thing about celebrities and what restaurants they, you know, recommend. And Douglas Sills was in Little Shop of Horrors at the time. He was recommending a restaurant, and he was great in Little Shop, so I had to point that out. And so as far as my next show, my 41st Broadway show, I'm almost positive I know what it is. I kind of knew a lot of the shows that I had seen by heart. So now that this is the point of the time where I have to, like, you know, look in my journal and see what's next, but I forgot to do that. And I'm almost positive, though, my 41st Broadway show was my second time seeing, where is it? The Phantom of the Opera. I'm pretty sure that was the 41st Broadway show was my second time seeing that. So there we go. And yeah, so that's it for today's video. Where I talked about my 40th Broadway show, which was my first time seeing Wicked, and, you know, what an incredible journey this show has had. And after all these years, the movie is supposed to finally come out, I think, on Thanksgiving this year. So there's that to look forward to. But yeah, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you so very much for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for my next Broadway show that I talk about in the series, my 41st Broadway show, which I believe is my second time seeing the Broadway musical Phantom of the Opera. So, as always, thank you so very much for watching, and until next time, bye!